is a Bramble Jam podcast. Hello, I'm Bran, and I love Hallmark movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark movies.
I'm Brittany, and I don't know what Hallmark movies are.
And this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast. You know, I knew it was going to happen eventually. You got the wrong Brittany Bristow, didn't you? She doesn't even know why she's here.
Yeah.
And she's still perfectly centered behind with a vacation photo in the background.
Looks great.
Yes.
And has no idea why she's here. We may as well make the most of it, Brittany.
That's right. Just do your best. Just kind of make it up as you go, and we'll go from
We'll
there.
do what we can
It'll be
with
fine.
what we have.
No one's gonna.
I was trying to come up with something cool, guys, and it didn't really.
No, it was
No,
great.
you
don't know that
stop.
it
You
was-
stop.
It was awesome.
We only use
Thanks.
affirming language here.
That's right. We
So
would
it
never.
was fantastic.
We would never. Brittany
exactly
Bristow, thank you so much for joining us.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We're so excited for you to be here, and so excited for A Tale of Love
And that's TAIL.
because of puppers.
Because of puppies.
Yeah.
Because of little
How
pups.
can you go
dogs
wrong?
have tails.
That's oh my gosh. It's
I didn't put it together.
It's not
That
like rat
is-
tail. It's not like a rat tail. You remember that haircut?
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's like you fall
Chris
in love with
McNally
a
just
guy
has
in
a
rat
nasty
tail.
rat tail.
Yeah. And it's
But
this
how
weird-
good would it be
Oh my gosh.
He'd pull it all the way off.
Yeah, oh, for
Oh.
sure.
if
Chris.
anybody could?
If you're listening,
Chris, dude,
just do it.
that's the sequel. Tale of Love 2
Yeah.
Rat Tail.
I can't believe rat tails were a thing.
I can't either. I remember being like 6 in 1989 and looking around going, we're doing this, huh? We're like, even at 6 years old, I thought it was a dumb
And
idea.
you were 6 in 1989. Huh?
Yeah, I'm old.
Old fart.
It is what it is. What it is.
Oldie.
I wasn't alive yet.
Yeah.
Hey!
Me and Brand.
When were you? When were you born?
Well, how old are you, Brittany?
I'm old. No, I was born in 1990,
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
so
Yeah.
I'm 32.
Okay,
Okay.
92
I
for
think.
Bran over there.
Yeah, 1992. I'm 30. I just turned 30. So
I'm
We're doing
older
great.
than you
and
are.
look at all that we've accomplished in our 30s so
Yeah,
far.
that's right.
Yeah,
You're on a-
I'm like alive.
Yep.
True.
So that I'm winning there.
You made the jump that not many make, and we'll get to it later, which is Hallmark sidekick to Hallmark leading lady.
That's
I
right.
mean, that is worth talking about. And I
That
don't
is
want to
worth
jump ahead, but like that is a big deal. That doesn't happen all the time on the Hallmark channel. So congratulations there. You did do that in your
Thank you.
basically in your 30s and in your 20s. You did that.
Yeah.
So God bless you.
That's right.
Thank
Take that,
you.
world.
Yeah,
but let's-
positivity. That's what we're here for.
That's
Don't listen to any of the reviews of any of your movies. Just let me tell you how wonderful you are.
Deal.
Let's go way back 30 something years. Tell us about
Okay.
where you were born and what it was like to be Brittany as a child and how you got into acting.
Okay. Well, I was born in Toronto, Ontario in 1990 in the middle of a snowstorm in February. Being a small Brittany was entertaining for me and frustrating for everyone around me. My parents always joked that I was like immediately a performer. My first word was hi. And I was just saying it to everybody.
Just jazz hands, little baby jazz
Oh,
Are
hands.
you,
yeah. Hello.
Are you the youngest?
I am.
Yeah,
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 I have an
there it
older
is.
sister. She's 10 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, and she is a chemical physicist.
Oh my
So-
gosh.
She's the worst.
Already. I'm just like, we're
Yeah.
both babies of the family too,
yeah.
Brittany. So we're already.
We
on
are all
Team
the
Brit.
best.
Yeah, we're Team Brit
Yeah.
already. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Sweet. I mean, my
Physicists,
sister's
ugh.
super cool.
Well,
It's also annoying because like she's really smart and she can sing and she's a really good painter
Gosh.
and she's cool. Like it's just
Oh.
she got all the stuff.
Physicists can't be
Anyways.
cool. That's not fair.
That's
That's
not-
an unfair advantage for the rest of us.
Right? I would agree.
So you
It's
just
gonna
walked
change the
into
world,
every
and-
room searching for a camera and a microphone. Like you were ready to like perform.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. I mean, my parents have this hilarious picture that they show to anyone who will look at it of me quite young. I think I was like 4 or 5. And they were trying to have a conversation and I just would not shut up because
Yeah.
that's who I am. And they looked at me and they said, Brittany, we need you to be quiet. We're trying to have a conversation. So I looked at them and I kind of coyly turned around and I walked up the stairs and I came back downstairs with a Band-Aid over my mouth and I just stared at them. So that was me as a child. Really fun to have around.
Not extra at all.
No, you were like a 5-year-old
No.
performance artist, and
So-
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did your
Thank you.
parents, did they realize we've got to get all this energy and like funnel it into like dramatic arts? Or did you discover that just like by happenstance at school?
So it's actually kind of funny. So my parents, I think, knew that I needed a lot in terms of getting my energy out. So I was dancing and they took me to try out gymnastics, which I immediately hated. And, you know, kind of gave me all these opportunities to play around and figure out what I enjoyed the most. And I was at a ballet class, if you can count it that when you're 6, and just like running around a room screaming. And somebody came into the studio and was like, hey, we're looking for little ballerinas for a commercial. So if any of the girls here want to audition for that, you know, just send them over here on this day. And I heard that and I was just like,
Somebody say TV.
Yeah. So I begged my parents with everything inside of myself to let me go to that audition. And then I booked it and I was just like, overwhelmed. Yeah, they had like 10 little ballerinas that they had. It was for a bank called CIBC, which is a Canadian bank.
The best bank. I mean,
Yeah,
they're trustworthy is what they are.
Yeah, the bank where you can get stuff like places to put your money.
That's right.
But why did they
really
need a
great.
6-year-old in the bank? Were you getting a loan? I'd like to apply for a loan,
That's
please.
Right. It's a baby bank.
I'm here to apply for my mortgage. That would be funny.
It would be.
But no,
baby
so
bank.
right? Baby.
I love it.
Guys,
it's a great bit.
something.
We're going to send that to SNL because that's a great sketch.
Baby bank. Yeah.
And
Beck
they can
Bennett
have
is
that.
on it. Should be on it already. Right?
Can I go? Can I go? But yeah, so I did that commercial, and then the rest was really downhill for my parents because I was in love with acting, and suddenly my mother and my father were having to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning to take me to set because I just wanted to do it so badly, and they were wonderful and supportive.
At that point, 6-year-old Brittany, so sister is 16, probably can drive a car and is on her way to being a physicist. They really don't have much to do there. Like they've done their work there. So at least there was just one to give this attention to that needed it on this front. What was the next thing you booked? Did you book right away, or was it?
So I did a ton of commercials. I was at a period where like I couldn't audition for any more because I was in so many that they weren't willing to like.
Most embarrassing commercial catchphrase that you remember that you had to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's a cough medicine called Dimetap.
Yeah, I know it well.
And I think I was like, I was like 11 years old. And I did this commercial where the dad was supposed to be sick. And I was sitting on the floor in front of the couch with my pretend brother. And my mom was on the couch beside my pretend dad, pretend mom too. And he grabs the remote and changes the channel. And I go, must be feeling better now. And that commercial haunted me.
Got him.
Yeah. Just such a good little actress.
Zinger.
Yeah, so she knows how to cough medicine you. And
that sounds more like a Lifetime movie, Brittany.
Right. You are correct.
That's true.
But yeah, so I did that. And then when I went to high school, I went to a private performing arts school, kind of, sort of. And on my 3rd day of school, one of the grade 11 boys recognized me from the Dimetap commercial. And then my nickname became Dimetap and was Dimetap until I graduated when I was 18.
Oh my gosh.
That's unfortunate.
They called you Dimetap?
Did they like fill your locker with cough medicine?
But Dimetap is more syllables than Brittany, isn't it?
That's right,
yeah. I was like, why are we? And then they were like, can we call you Dimey? And I was like, I mean, could you not? But sure.
What about Dima B?
So yes. I mean, that would work too.
I don't know.
Anything
we'll
workshop it. We'll bring it back. Don't worry.
We can work on it.
So we'll get to this when we talk about A Tale, the dog movie. But like that's a family affair. Your dad does stuff. Like he's a director, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So was he at this point when you were a 6-year-old auditioning? Was he a director, or did you do work and he was like, "Man, this is pretty cool"?
So my dad was actually an actor way before.
Okay.
So he went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Pasadena.
Wow.
That was where he graduated from, and he was an opera singer and an actor. He's a pretty impressive dude. Yeah. And he knew he wanted to get back into the arts. He'd stopped acting. He basically got offered to do Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, and he turned it down because he didn't want to leave my mom. So,
oh God,
was he going to be the Phantom?
Yeah.
What?
We have the original Phantom mask in our house, actually, or they have it in their house, my house growing up. And it used to scare the living daylights out of me because they put it in a window that the moon would shine through, and the moon would shine through the eyeballs of the mask. And it was really nightmare-inducing for me as a small person. But
and clearly you're over it, I can tell. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the dark.
No, not at all.
That's crazy.
That's fantastic, but also unbelievable. He could have been Phantom on Broadway.
Yeah.
So did he stop? Yeah. Did he have a period where he like got a day job, like doing taxes or something, or has he?
No, so he then started like I know, right? And then he just went into
taxes.
Well, it's either I'm the Phantom or I'm doing taxes.
I've got to go get a full CPA license.
There's no in between. Let's be honest here.
That's right.
No, so he actually started working in real estate development a little bit, and then very quickly was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
And went back into the film industry, but started producing more. And then my mom, who was a social worker and a therapist for a long time, she also had a small foray into real estate. And then she used all of her skills from social work and from her years as a therapist within hospital world and all that jazz to write a book series for teens about like peer pressure and underage drinking and all that stuff. And my dad was like, we should turn this into a series. So they ended up doing an educational series together, and that's how my mom started into the
and that's how world. Degrassi got started. That's Degrassi.
That's Degrassi. Unbelievable.
It's amazing. It's really amazing.
Everyone in Canada works on Degrassi. And it's wild.
I never did.
Wow, you didn't.
You tried though, didn't you?
I did audition for it.
Yeah.
So
did you also, based upon your quick cursory glance of your IMDb, you're the one Canadian that has not been on Supernatural either, which is wild.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that. I have done Murdoch Mysteries though.
Which
is just like if you're Canadian.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Think about acting. You've done an episode of that show.
Classic Murdoch Mystery. So you get out of your performing arts school and then you jump into full-time acting immediately, or what?
So
you did taxes.
I did. I did my taxes. And then I found out that the government was like, hey, you didn't pay taxes for the last 6 years. And I was like, yeah, because I wasn't working.
That's
Anyways.
Right. But you still got free health care, didn't you?
Sure did.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, can I just tell you, I know firsthand this year how helpful that is on my taxes, my friend.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into it. We don't need to get into it.
Business and healthcare in the United States is a disaster. I'm just letting you know. But go ahead.
Yeah,
we're
doing understandable. Great. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. No, it's not about me.
I mean, it is. We can make it about you. We can make it complete. Would you like to talk about your taxes?
We'll talk about it after.
Later.
Okay, fair. I understand.
Yeah. So anyway, you leave the school and you start going on auditions. Did you go to another acting school? What'd you do after basically high school?
So my high school was actually Canada's National Ballet School, which of course is the weirdest foray into academics as a young person possible, but super cool. But I thought for a hot minute that I was going to be a ballerina. And so when I graduated, I was kind of unsure as to what I really wanted to do, but I knew I really missed acting. So I decided to go try to get an agent again and start doing some auditions. And I did do some work pretty early. But after that first year, I was really struggling and I wasn't really working. So I went back to university and I studied film. And then I got a job as a junior producer at a film company, and I started my own film production company.
Wow.
That we ran for about a year and a half, and then both of us just got too busy, so we sort of just dismantled it. But yeah, I kind of had this like interesting, super busy moment, and then like absolutely nobody would hire me, and then kind of got busy again. But in that in-between time, I did a lot of training with Larry Moss in New York. He's amazing. And so I did a lot of work with him, and I did some Shakespeare programs through the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York as well. I had planned on going to the American Academy in New York. I got accepted there 3 separate times I auditioned, but every time I auditioned, I got a job. So I had that like weird thing of like, well, do I go study for 2 years or do I do the thing that I'm trying to study to then be able to do? So I made the choice to do the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to have worked out okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have worked out better, but I'm happy with where I'm at. So.
And then you got an offer to be the Phantom. Is that how I understand it?
Yeah.
And you turned it down too?
Yeah.
They called me and they were like, hey, your face is just like perfect. And your voice is like the right cadence. If we could just maybe get you in here.
It's perfect.
That would be
turned
awesome.
it down. It's the Bristow way.
I was like,
the Bristow
you know what,
way.
guys? No.
So what's the most embarrassing audition you've ever been on, or just like classically bad? Like you left and went, wow, Brittany, what just happened?
Think about this one.
No, you have a story in your head. You're like, should I tell it or not? That's what you're thinking, right?
So I have two. Oh God, I have two.
Okay.
One was for a project where there was like a really inappropriate scene. And one was when I was a kid. That's not really embarrassing for me, but also is embarrassing in general. So the one I did when I was little, I was auditioning for this like one like small line role in a movie, and I had to play dead. And the director brought in 6 girls and 6 women to audition as their moms at the same time. And we all had to lie on the floor and just like pretend to be dead. And the director just looked at me and he went, no, you can go.
They looked at you playing dead and they said, get out.
You can't do it.
You can't play dead, he said.
You can't do that. No, you can go. And I just remember being like,
okay. All right.
Was I laying wrong?
Call me if you change your mind.
The other one was for a moderately inappropriate thing.
What was
there was a sex scene in the audition.
What was the TV show or movie?
It was for a web series in Canada. And they had, for some reason, they'd pulled this one scene for the audition.
Okay. They went straight for the sex scene,
as you do.
Yeah.
You might have auditioned for a porn.
No, I promise it wasn't. It was quite a funny show. And the only reason I was willing to audition for it, because I don't really like want to do those kinds of scenes. They're so uncomfortable and just like half the time completely unnecessary, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the reason I was willing to audition for it was because it was really funny. I was like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. And then I went into the audition and I was like, this is humiliating. And I like had to pretend that I was doing that in the audition.
Oh no.
By myself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was really uncomfortable. And I left and was like fuchsia. I was just like, I need to
leave and never come back.
Do that again.
Yeah.
And maybe move to Antarctica and pretend I was never alive in the first place, because this is awful.
That's terrible.
And that was for The Good Witch, right?
The Good Witch, the movie, right? Curse from the Rose. Is that the one? I thought it was for Saul, the Journey to Damascus. Is what I thought it was for.
Yeah, the biblical movie.
That's right.
That's really, really asks
what's
you to
wild
do those
is
kinds of things.
Some of the stuff on your IMDb is Canadian, because I've not heard of it, but most of the stuff that I'm reading later on, like, you don't have a lot of comedic roles, and it seems like comedy would be something that you would be really good at. Like, you seem like you have really good timing. You're quick-witted. Like, is this just a matter of not getting the callbacks on auditions for comedies and you do on dramas, or is it just, what am I missing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, if we could figure it out together today, that would be really lovely, because I would really love to do comedy. I think also, to a certain extent, the opportunities to audition for things like sitcoms doesn't really exist in the Canadian industry. And, I do split my time between the States and Canada, but it's definitely a little bit harder coming in as a Canuck to be like, hey, want to pay attention to me? And I'll make you laugh or something. But I mean, I would love to. I think it would be so much fun. I have such a dream of being in like a true romantic comedy. I love comedy. But I do tend to get more of the callbacks for the drama stuff.
There's so many famous, funny Canadian people that are funny. Like, they're just so many. And I was listening to an interview with, like, I believe it was Martin Short, who's from Canada. And he was talking about how, like, when he and John Candy and all these guys were on, what is it? There was a show, SCTV, which is a Canadian skit show, that like all of them would talk, Gilda Radner, they'd all talk about going to the States. And then they would all just, in their very Canadian way, just assume they've got funny people in the United States. You know what I mean? Like, they've got funny people down there. We don't know if we're actually that good, which is just the opposite of in America. It's like, I bet we're as funny as those Canadians. But is that something that's still pervasive? That idea that like it's harder to come down to the United States to do comedy if you're from Canada? Because
I don't know. I mean, I think to a certain extent, there's so many like little Canadianisms of all the actors that I know. They're like, I don't know if they're going to pay attention. Like, I'm just from Alberta. And like, we're all just kind of like afraid to go step in. And there's also, from having been in American auditions to Canadian audition rooms, the actual environment's really different. Like in Canada, I have been in an audition room where like somebody forgot their sides and I'm like, hey, I'm running in, like, give me 2 minutes and I'll go in and do my audition and come out and like give them my sides so that they can go in.
Wow.
Whereas in the States, like
you
people
would never
death stare you.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're here for this? Okay. And you're like, it's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, man.
And you just kind of like hide in a corner. It's just a different environment. And I think a lot of Canadians aren't really like, it's not what we're used to. So we go in and it's just very daunting. And I think it like gets into a lot of our heads. So the American side of the industry becomes like this really scary, like non-breachable thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And maybe that's just my opinion of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just really scared of it. Which is possible.
So you had this break where you kind of got more into the production side of things. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself, because of that experience, being more interested in the business side of things of the industry than a traditional actor without that experience would be? Or do you, or did that scare you away from the business side of things?
A little bit of both, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Producing is not my favorite thing on the planet, but I do find it really interesting. I also think for me, one thing that I really loved about learning everything I could about the industry was it gave me an opportunity to sort of be more aware of everybody's roles. And it made me very aware of the fact that my role was no more important than anybody else's, which I think sometimes people lose sight of in any aspect of what they're doing. So for me, like, understanding lighting and why you choose to do that thing and why you cover, like all of these little aspects I grew to appreciate in a much bigger way. And I really like the idea of directing. I really like the idea of writing. I do enjoy producing when I'm able to produce something that I really care about. But there's a lot of nitpicky stuff that I'm just like, math.
Is it one of those situations where with the detail stuff, you feel like if you're invested in it, you have to be completely invested in it? So it's easier to just come in and be like, all right, I'm going to do my scenes. I'm going to give the best I got. And then the director and editors and producers can take care of the rest of that. Because I would imagine for me, if I would produce something and then I go in and I'm just an actor, in my head, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions of why are they doing it this way? Or what's going, like, do you find yourself doing that now that you've produced something?
Yeah, I definitely do. And like, if I notice that something's happening where we have to rejig a schedule because of rain, or, we need to move inside, or we lost a location, in my brain, I'm like, well, you can do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like, but I can't suggest that because I'm just an actor.
That's right. I'll be back here if you need me. Do you ever, have you gotten to the point in your career with Hallmark where you feel like you know what they're looking for? And so if a director says, or a producer says, what if we did it this way? You're comfortable enough to go, I really don't like that. Or are you still there to do it however they ask?
A little bit of both. I mean, I think that realistically, all of the people that Hallmark hires in terms of directors and writers and producers, like they all know what they're doing in such a great way. We all know when we walk on a set what kind of movie we're making. And as a result, I think the opportunities are there to play a little bit. So a lot of the times you'll work with a director and they're like, hey, why don't we do one that's exactly script? We'll do one that's sort of just how you want to do it. And then like, I'll throw you an idea. So we get to play around a little bit, which is really fun. But yeah, I genuinely do feel like I've got sort of an understanding now, having done movies from Hallmark. I think it's 7. I just completely forgot how many I've done. But it's a few more than 5.
Yeah. Well, some of these I don't know if they're Hallmark or not, but like I've got Love Blossoms, the Good Witch TV show, Christmas Next Door. That's a Jesse Metcalf.
Yeah, we watched that
one.
Movie. Royal Matchmaker. Is that a Lacey joint? Yeah. Love on
Royal Matchmaker's Joy.
Beth and Joy Lynn's. Love on Safari. That's
a Hallmark.
Is that a Hallmark?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Hallmark.
Christmas at the Palace. Ooh, with Merritt Patterson. Love, Romance, and Chocolate. That's Lacey Chabert.
Yeah.
A couple of Lacey movies.
Holiday Date.
Yeah.
Love and Whitbrook. Is that? That
one's not. No,
Yeah.
I've done.
Looks like it's got that vibe though.
It's got that cover. Yeah, it's got that same romantic shenanigans.
So you've been doing it obviously the whole. Well, how did you get involved with Hallmark? One question that I have is I know that your dad is in the space now too, obviously, and he's been for a few years, same as you. How did that all come to be? I imagine there's some overlapping relationships and stuff like that.
So I was in a position where I was being put forward in terms of a person that Hallmark could look at, audition wise and reel wise for Love Blossoms. And apparently just my first name was put above my reel. Like they just submitted 6 girls, first name, here's the reel, here's their picture, take a look at them. And Hallmark chose me, which was amazing. Very exciting. And then they asked my parents to produce it, and they didn't realize that we were related.
Oh, wow.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of overlap in that sense.
And was that your parents' first Hallmark as well?
I don't remember.
Okay. One of them though.
Maybe it was one of the first. Yeah, it was one of the first ones that they had done. And yeah, it was kind of funny because I got this opportunity and I was like, okay, well, this is like a big deal for me. Like this is for little Canadian Brittany doing, her Canadian high school drama shows to like being hired by Hallmark. I was like, I got to really impress these people. And so I just wanted to put everything I had into the role. She wasn't like the biggest role, but she was around a lot. And I was like, I'm going to do everything I can with this young woman. And for some reason, they liked it. I mean, everyone that met me after that thought I was French for real, which was a huge compliment.
That's impressive.
You do an accent.
Oh, can we hear a little bit of that?
The rest of it.
I honestly don't even know if I could do it if I tried right now. I worked with an accent coach and everything. Like I went and I was like,
wow.
I'm going to study French Belgian accents. Like, let's do this. And for 6 weeks, I worked with an accent coach in London because I was like, I can't do badly.
God bless you. You took so much more care than most in your position.
Hallmark didn't know what they had with you.
They were just like, is this girl French? She did what? 6 weeks of what?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I got invited to this event that they have most years. I mean, they haven't the last 2 because of COVID,
TCA,
but the TCAs. Yeah, so I got invited to that, and I was like, me? They want me to go? Like, I'm not the lead. I don't know. Well, okay. I was on my first red carpet ever. I told Andrew Walker this story so many times. I don't know. I'm sure you've met Andrew Walker.
Oh, he's been on our show like half a dozen times at least.
He's so great.
He's the best.
And I have this like very embarrassing memory of my first red carpet ever. Just standing outside the TCA is like terrified. I'd done my own makeup. I had no idea what I was walking into. And I was just like vibrating. I was so cold and terrified. And I heard Andrew Walker talking about smoked meat from Montreal. And I was like, oh, you're from Canada? And I like harassed him, and then we talked about maple syrup, and it was the most embarrassing moment I think I probably could have had. And I don't think he remembered it because I mentioned it to him like a year later. He was like,
oh boy,
you were the only person that talked to me. But also I think everybody was just busy. I was just like such a frantic mess. But when I met everybody, they were like, Kimmy, oh, it's so wonderful to meet you. And I like said like, oh, thank you so much for having me. And they're like, where are you from? I was like, I'm from Canada. And they're like, huh? We thought you were French. I was like, no.
Oh,
no.
Man.
Je ne peux parler français.
That is they invited her because they thought she was French. Maybe favorite.
Like this will help with the diversity.
The diversity. Yes, white, blonde, French though.
Yeah, she's French.
Hear me out, French.
But yeah, and then they just kept taking chances on me, and they were like, "Hey, you go there." And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
well, that was what I was going to ask you. Since we're here, you've got at least 5 or 6 movies where you're, 3, 4 on the call sheet. You're the sister, confidant, sidekick, best friend, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Can you give me some tips as like how to really do that well? Like what makes a character like that do their job well, stand out well, so it doesn't just get lost in the ether, but also doesn't take the spotlight from the main show? It's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm gonna get real serious actory about it, my acting coach did tell. He has this wonderful way of teaching where his whole thing is about the story itself, and I think sometimes with Hallmark movies, people can take them not seriously.
What? No.
Yeah, right.
Get out of here.
Speaking to somebody who might, but I think for me, my approach with these has always been, okay, I'm going to give this movie all the respect in the world. I'm going to give these characters all the respect in the world. And my acting coach said, each character that you play deserves just as much respect as any person you encounter in life.
Wow.
Because they are a person, they're just not alive yet. And that's your responsibility. So you have to give them life. You have to give them a sense of humor. You have to give them the things that make them cry. You have to give them all of their personality traits, everything. And you have to honor what's been written. So in honoring the character, for me, then I turn around and I go, okay, well, if I'm honoring the character, I also have to honor the person who I'm playing. I have to honor their place in this. So like, where do they fit in? Are they the funny person? Are they the person with the quips? Are they the person that this person will lean on? And figuring out who they are in each scenario and each situation really helps me in terms of making sure that I'm supporting the story, because I've built a person that I believe is fully flushed out, which allows it to stand out. But at the same time, I honor where the story's going and where all of the characters are going in terms of, with Lacey in Love on Safari, for example, my character is very witty and she, she's kind of funny and she teases her brother a bunch. But when it comes down to it, she's also got a big heart and she wants to be there to help guide this person that she can see is a little lost. So for me, that's really...
That's why came from. 6 weeks of language class for a 15-day shoot. I mean, you were not messing around. Like you were not messing around. I love it. No. That's fantastic.
And I really love the prep aspect too. Like I just got hired to do a film series of 4 films. It's sort of like these types of things, but it's about 4 friends and we each have a lead.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. But for me, like the prep is the exciting part. So I get the binders and I have like all my sticky notes and I go through and I like answer 50 questions. Like, where were they born? What was their favorite song growing up? What are 3 things that will make you cry? Like,
this is like almost a method. This is like a method approach.
But like happy method. Like you're
Did you make people speak to you in French on that film? Like while you were on set? No. Is it a Daniel Day-Lewis thing? Like,
no.
That series, that wheel, if you will, that you just talked about, does that have a home yet or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Well,
because we're starting a network, so
no, we are. Interesting. It's good to know.
Fancy.
You started in Hallmark in a world where the formula was so like scientific, where the leading lady can have 3 or 4 traits and the guy can be handsome and have 1 or 2 traits, but can't really get in the way of that. And then the side characters, really are there to deliver lines. And like, if we notice them for our show, that's a bad thing. And the reality is we give these movies a hard time, but we're still looking at the craft of the film and can tell when people do what you do. But now in like the last 3 years, Hallmark has kind of opened up this playbook to where there's multiple storylines. There's characters you can invest in that are 6, 7, 8 on the call sheet. How exciting is that for you, who's someone who's jumped to leading lady status, which I'll get to in a second, but how exciting is that for you to see? Have you noticed, has that been a noticeable difference in the scripts you're seeing and the productions that you're on?
Yeah, I think it's actually something I really noticed with the films that I was doing is I was suddenly getting these roles where they were developed. I mean, Christmas at the Palace that I did with Merritt, I was brought on as number 3, but my character had her own storyline. I had my own love interest, everything. Like I really noticed it for myself as somebody who was the secondary character for so many of them. And I felt really lucky that I was sort of being somebody that they were taking a chance on with these more developed characters. I think too, it really plays to the fact that there are a lot of people who are incredibly talented, and they are the secondary people, and they have the opportunity to shine now. So it's giving, in a lot of ways, companies like Hallmark, it's giving them an opportunity to see, oh, this person stood out. They might be somebody to look at, to bring on, because the audience really loved them because they got an opportunity to see them, rather than just constantly being in a position where they're, trying to get this person or that person. They can encourage like a growth of their own new talent, which I think is really cool. And I do think, to a certain extent, like, there are so many fun secondary characters, and when you give them a little bit more space, they make the movies so much better, because you've got the comedy when you actually get to know them. Like, there's all of these aspects that just make it that much better.
No, I agree with that statement 100%. Can you, before we dive into the Rat Tail movie, which we're going to get to, can you tell me how you got from sidekick to leading lady? Was that a push on your front from your people, your family? Was that just something where Hallmark was like, we've seen her in 5 of these, we got this script, hey Brittany, do you want to do this? And if that second thing was the case, then tell me about that experience and how exciting that was for you.
That was the case. And I remember really distinctly, I was in London, England at the time. And I was there working with, this sounds so insane, and I am aware of what I'm about to say. I was working with a trainer.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I know. I had this weird injury when I graduated from high school. I did a movie. I'll try a really long story short it. I was doing a movie, and I was doing circus skills, and I had no upper body strength, and my body dropped and my legs collapsed like this way, and I tore all the cartilage in my right hip. So for about 4 years, I couldn't feel my right leg.
Oh my gosh.
So I was working with a personal trainer who was like really invested in helping me heal the like trauma of my past injury so that I could move forward with my life. So I was in England working with this trainer. And I was there, and one of my very good friends, Callum Blue, who's been in a couple of these Hallmark movies as well. He's one of my very good friends. He and I were hanging out, and we were like going on bike rides, and we were talking about careers. And I was like, I just don't know. Like, I haven't heard from anybody in a while. I'm getting a little anxious. Like, I'm really hoping I get some more auditions. And then one night I got an email, and it just said, "Hi, Brittany. We're really excited. We would like to offer you the leading role in our new movie that we're excited about, Holiday Date. It's going to be a real comedy. We think you're perfect for it, and we would love for you to do it. We're going to email Michael. We're going to send through the script. Take a look at it. Let us know." And I just remember jumping up and down on my hotel bed.
That's so
and
great.
Like screaming. Like, I felt like I was 4 years old, and I just found out Santa was real, and like he was going to come hang out with me. Like, I was just like losing my mind.
That makes me so happy, Brittany. I can't tell you, as someone who actively doesn't like these movies, to hear that this story is happening, like legitimately. And that movie plays better as a screwball comedy, and would have been a better movie had it been allowed to be fully fleshed out as a comedy. And that's thanks to like people like you involved in it, and that was your that's a great story. I love it.
So you get that in 2019, and then which is amazing. And then there's this shakeup, obviously, on the network. And then we don't see you until now.
Yeah.
Did you, and we don't need to get into the logistics, get as much into it as you want to, but it seems to me like somehow you somehow you got lost in the shuffle. Like,
I think there were a lot with the shakeup. There's a lot of people that are really valuable to the network, like Lacey Chabert.
Right.
She is a star. She is so loved by everyone. She works so hard. She is quite literally the nicest person alive.
She seems it.
She really truly is. Like, and I say this all the time, but you can say every nice thing on the planet about Lacey. If there were more nice things to say, they would apply. Like, just like it's I don't understand how she is as wonderful as she is, but she truly, truly is. And in shaking things up, in navigating a new a new normal, especially with COVID. You know, we're dealing with not being able to film. We're dealing with not being able to get people across the border, or getting people across the border and having to keep them there. The priority was making sure that the familiarity, in my opinion, of course, I'm not on the inside, so I don't know, but I think the priority was making sure that the familiarity was there while making steps to make the changes that they wanted to make. And I think that they're doing such an incredible job, and I'm just really glad to be back with them. I'm so excited that they wanted to take A Tale of Love on. And yeah, I honestly, like, it was a weird couple of years just in general. I think, like, the idea of going anywhere and being around people and working was really jarring. And yeah, I just kept my head up and kept working, and I knew when the time was right that something was going to come again, or never, and I was going to be poor and broken living in a refrigerator on the side of the street. But, you know, either way, it was going to be
either
fun.
or, really, either or.
In the period of time, it looks like, just judging off covers, you did a couple of these type of movies that didn't make it to Hallmark. I imagine they went somewhere. Is that the story of this one, the tale time, or was this always meant to be for Hallmark? Because I know sometimes it starts off as something, and then Hallmark's like, we want in on this action type of deal.
Yeah. So this one was sort of a passion project that my parents had taken on, and we really loved the idea of working on it together. So we did it more of an independent story, but Hallmark was aware of it. But we just made it and then said, okay, we'll just figure out where it makes sense and who wants it and where its home should be. And Hallmark was the company that wanted it the most. And so they were the ones that ended up with it. And we're all really excited about the fact that it did, because this is the first time I've been a lead in a movie that my parents have worked on.
That's great.
Yeah, and my dad was the director, my mom was the writer. Like, it was one of those things where it was such a family affair. And then, you know, you mentioned earlier, Martin Short and all of those incredible comedians. Jane Eastwood was one of those comedians. She was with them. She was, you know, running on all of those comedy shows, and she was roommates with half of them. Martin Short's her best friend. They have cottages that face each other. Like, she was the person that they brought in to play my grandmother.
That's
and
unbelievable.
I was like so excited, and we just got to sort of like create this beautiful project that we could all work on together.
Man.
And yeah, it was super exciting. And like, it just, I don't know, we just sort of ran with it, and we said, you know what, we're going to make it the best we can make it, and hopefully it finds a home somewhere wonderful. And I think it's kind of the perfect film for Hallmark. And hopefully the audiences love it, even you.
I mean, listen, the thing you got going
you
for
don't
you
have
is
to. It's okay.
There's hecka dogs.
I'm a huge dog person.
And it's not just hecka dogs; they're rescue dogs.
See,
it's a hecka dogs movie. Yeah,
it's a hecka dog. That's what it should have been called. It should have been hecka dogs.
Hecka dogs in the Rat Tail. That's a radio show that is different.
I mean,
it's a morning zoo
I'm here
show.
for that.
Yeah, I love that. How did McNally get involved in it? Because obviously at this point he's a Hallmark staple with One Calls to Heart.
Yeah.
But how did he get involved with the project?
So my dad was looking at who was going to be the best option for JR. As the director, he was really integral in figuring out who everybody was going to be. And with my mom, who's his co-producer pretty much all the time. I don't know how they do it, but they do it together all the time. So they were sort of just looking at who would make the most sense. And I think the preference was always Chris. Everyone thought he would be perfect. And when the offer went out to him and he accepted, I mean, everyone was just so excited. And Chris brought so much to the film.
He's such a mean guy, though, you know, like it's hard to work with. Prima donna, you know, very high maintenance.
And very unattractive.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just an uggo, a real uggo.
He's hard to look at, and he's an awful person.
Yeah,
so,
it's crazy. It's
no
just
fun
crazy.
at all.
Thank God for the dogs, or else this would have been hell on earth.
Yeah, please don't use that soundbite in and of itself.
Oh, we're
gonna send it right over to him. Hey, man, this was off the record.
Think it's hilarious.
You need to know. The thing that's so great about Chris is he's like such he's smooth. You know what I mean? Like there's something about the way that he is that's like, I feel better now that you're here. He's a very comforting soul.
Calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, it feels that way. So I'm very excited about this movie.
Yeah, he was great. And he brought so much to it too. Like we would sit down together and read through the script and make our own little notes and make sure that we knew why certain things were happening. And, for military stuff, he was really making sure that he was on top of making sure it was all right and done well. And
so you are doing one more question about Tale of Love. You're doing a movie about rescue dogs and the troops. Yep. So we are really doing it right here. Like these are two of the like linchpins of TV movie emotions right here. Like this is, and you've put them together in one movie, which I believe Mark Declan and Dana McKellar did a movie that involved some sort of troop dog combo. But this is like, I mean, you're playing with some pretty heavy emotions here. Was there any like looking in to make sure we have a good balance of like when to hit those emotional notes? Because with dogs and troops, I mean, good gracious, the movie could turn into a cry fest really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we don't go too heavy into anything, which I think is sort of like the perfect space. Is it's all touched on. We talk about all of it. We talk about, we slightly touch on the fact that there are soldiers that have PTSD and having rescue dogs is helpful. That these dogs have been to war and they themselves could have PTSD and they need to be in supportive households and they need to be given the space to just be dogs. And we talk about what it is to be somebody who's in the military and how tough that can be on your love life or being near your parents when they're, passing away or whatever. And there's quite a bit of, we touch on it, but we don't dive too deep into it to keep that focus on moving forward and individual vulnerability and falling in love. And, we tried to do it all while keeping it as light as possible so that it would still fit with the uplifting feeling of a lot of these films, but also shining a light on all of it.
Fantastic.
Do we see McNally in a uniform?
I don't think so.
Son of a gun.
Which is
you had
such
one
a
job.
shame.
You had one job.
Listen, you know what? We got a couple days. We got a couple days.
That's right.
So
reshoots
him in front of a green screen.
I think Chris might be available. He's not busy working on like 800 shows right now or anything.
He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll figure it out. We'll get one in there for you.
Before I let you go, the last thing that I see on your IMDb is Home for a Royal Heart, which is a movie that I'm sure is trying to find a home right now as well. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
But a royal movie, back, we had the Palace ice skating movie.
Christmas at the Palace.
Who doesn't love that?
Me.
Panda, who's not here today, loves royal movies.
He does.
So I know he's personally rooting for this one.
Well, I look forward to hearing what he thinks.
All right, fair enough.
When it eventually comes
Isn't
out.
there some ballet in Christmas at the Palace of some sort? Like, did you get
There's
to do
figure skating?
Yeah.
Did you get to do any of that? Were you able to skate, or were you just ballet?
No, I'm just gonna tell you how cool I was growing up.
Go ahead.
I was a competitive figure skater who was on a synchronized skating team.
Yeah, you were.
And
ballet, skating.
Synchro skating. Yeah.
I mean, and
so they didn't use any doubles for you. It was all you.
We did have a skating double just in case, but when I got to Romania for shooting that film, I met with the skating instructor and I said, I've brought my own skates. They're in my suitcase. I want to come to the arena and I would like to practice whatever you want me to do for the next 1,000,000 days until, and like on my lunch breaks, I will skate. Like I want to be able to do it myself. So I was able to do all my own skating, but they did have a double there just in case. But I ended up doing it all myself.
Dude, you've got some pretty sweet on location movies.
Yeah.
Which one's the best?
I really have. I think South Africa takes the cake in terms of locations, but I've been really lucky. I've shot in Romania, Belgium, Iceland, South Africa.
Sheesh. Lucky duck.
And then like North Bay, Ontario.
Right, which
no
is
offense to North Bay, but it's not South Africa.
No, I mean North Bay. You know what are you gonna do?
Is the new Royal movie, is that on location or is that all set?
We shot that one in Hamilton, Ontario.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not throwing away your shot.
I see what you did there.
Thank you.
No, it's really great. It was
really good stuff, man.
There's some really beautiful spots in Hamilton.
Yeah, of course.
We shot that in Hamilton.
Of course. Great. Well, we will end with the rapid fire. We'll each get to ask you 3 random questions, and you have to answer as quickly and honestly as possible. Okay, more about honesty and less about speed. Just take your time. You don't need to get flustered.
I was hoping I could go really fast and just lie to you.
Well, that's fine too. Whatever tickles your fancy. Whatever tickles your fancy.
No, I'm kidding. I'll be honest.
Dana?
The best meal, and you said you're from Toronto, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
The best meal in Toronto that you can eat.
There's a really incredible restaurant called Toroni. I think there's also one in LA. But they have a pasta that is called geppetto. And it has like dandelion greens and cheese and sausage, and it's delicious.
Wow, that does.
I'm gonna go with that because it just popped into my head, and clearly I'm craving pasta.
I love it.
I'm very hungry. Pasta. Is it pasta?
Pasta. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that how the Canadians say it? It's pasta.
Pasta.
It's It sounds like that sounds kind of southern.
Pasta.
Give me that pasta.
Some of them Italian food. Is what I like.
Give me that good. Yeah, the pasta.
Hang it up here.
At least I didn't say quesadillas are my favorite.
That's right.
That's right. Bad.
True story.
Your favorite cartoon growing up?
That's a very good question.
We grew up together, so I feel like we have a similar taste in cartoons.
I liked so many, but I think Animaniacs is probably going to take the cake for me because every day I would come home from school and I got to eat a spoonful of peanut butter because I was obsessed with peanut butter. And I would sit in front of the TV and watch Animaniacs and eat peanut butter off
with just a spoonful of peanut butter in your hand. Man.
Yeah.
It's living right there.
It's adorable.
Aside from the new Chris McNally, Bristow produced, directed Rat Tail film, what is your favorite Hallmark movie that you have been a part of that you are most proud of,
or Hallmark adjacent,
or no. I want the one that's been on the network that you've been a part of. That is the thing that is either most memorable, favorite, or just the one you would recommend. Any of those are fine.
I think most. Can I give 2?
Sure.
Okay, so most memorable for me and most exciting for me was Holiday Date. Just because it was my first foray to being a lead. It was my first opportunity to sort of, go to set and be the person that was in charge of setting the tone and everything. But then my other favorite, I think I would have to say, is Love on Safari.
Yeah, right.
Love it. Fair enough.
I mean, and with Holiday Date, you got to literally teach somebody about Christmas. It's never heard of it before.
Yeah,
so
never heard of it.
And I got to watch Bruce Boxleitner eat donuts for like 4 hours until he wanted to blow up all things that had sugar in them.
Bruce Boxleitner is a national treasure. Did he just keep eating the donuts? He didn't do
he thought it would be really funny if he did this thing and like took a bite because it was supposed to get on the sugar was supposed to get on his face. He was like, if I take a really big bite and it's like everywhere, it'd be so funny. And then we had, for some reason, like something happened and we had to keep shooting it. And then like, because that's the scene where the person runs in, there's the 2 Joel. Not Joel's, the 2 Ethans. And he runs in. Because of the angle we were shooting that at, Bruce had to keep eating the donuts.
That's funny.
Through like all of the coverage of that scene too. So by the end of the day, he'd had like 30 donuts and he was like, I swear.
It's the one time Hallmark gave you more than like 10 minutes to shoot a scene.
Yeah. We worked
all day as long as you want.
Oh, Bruce is still eating donuts. Keep shooting.
Yeah. It was very funny.
My son also loves to eat spoonfuls of peanut butter.
Yeah.
What's your go-to peanut butter, and is it creamy or crunchy?
Creamy.
What kind?
Creamy. Any creamy peanut butter.
Creamy. It
doesn't matter. I don't care.
I hate crunchy peanut butter.
And it's creamy. It will go on a spoon and go in my face.
Yeah, I don't want crunchy peanut butter, and I don't want pulp in my orange juice.
I will eat stuff that has peanut butter and is crunchy, but crunchy peanut butter doesn't work.
That's right.
Why is that?
You are then tasked with doing the job of the people who make the peanut butter.
Yeah,
because
what are we doing?
I want it to be peanut butter when it enters my mouth.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to facilitate the making of.
I think
like taking.
I think butter is not crunchy, and we think butter, and then crunch happens, and we're like, no.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a Reese's cup with pretzels, it's good.
Right. If I take a pretzel and I'm scooping it out of the jar, I'm happy as a daisy.
Yeah.
On a Sunday.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah. You were you said you studied film briefly.
We did.
Correct. This is kind of a two-parter. I want your most memorable movie-going experience to the theater and the director in your wildest dreams, the director you'd most like to work for.
Oh, I'm gonna need a moment to figure that one out. I think most memorable movie going experience. I just keep thinking of something that's funny, which is really ridiculous.
That's fine.
I need to think of something that's like good and sophisticated.
No. Like you as a kid, like old people have these memories of seeing Star Wars. You know, there's like this is like do you have something, something like that?
I loved Star Wars. I also really loved James Bond movies growing up. My dad would always take me to see James Bond.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah, I was okay. I wasn't in theaters, but I was obsessed with the Indiana Jones movies.
Okay.
Like obsessed.
Same.
Like my sister had the box DVD set, and I would sneak into her room in the morning at like 4:00 and take them and go downstairs and watch the Temple of Doom by myself at like 4 in the morning because I was a crazy child.
That's wild.
But that's not a movie going.
That's fine.
But I loved those. And honestly, there's so many directors that I would like to work with. I would really love to work with Sarah Polley. She's also Canadian, but she's an incredible filmmaker. God, there's so many. Like all of the greats.
All the greats.
Fair enough.
All the greats, all of them.
You might not have an answer for this. Because I don't know how often you're sitting down watching Hallmark Channel, but do you have somebody, if I were to say, who's the next Brittany Bristow, who's going from supporting to lead, or who should go from supporting to lead next in the Hallmark universe?
There are so many people who are the ones that should be going. But I'm going to answer very selfishly, but also because I believe this with my whole heart. There's an incredible actress named Tara Joshi. She happens to be my best friend in real life. And she is so funny and so talented. And I am just waiting for her to get her starring moment, because when it happens, I don't foresee it ever ending for her.
Wow.
And she's played the best friend in a lot of these, and she's just so good. And I want her. I mean, she's writing her own right now.
All right.
Shout out to Tara.
There's some very exciting people interested in making this movie.
She's wonderful. Yeah, I've seen her in stuff. Yeah.
So she's my best friend in real life.
In real life.
And in the movies.
She did Schitt's Creek.
She did one episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Canadian.
But she's great. And I would love to see her as a leading lady.
I love it. That's a great answer.
Boom.
We did it.
Brittany,
we did it.
You are just a treasure. Thank you so much for doing this. You're so wonderful. You need to come back and join us. You'd also be great reviewing a movie with us.
Do you want to review a movie?
Yeah. When should we do it? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Do you want to review your own movie? You want to review your own movie?
She's like, no.
Absolutely
That's like a red carpet LA experience.
Whoever the lead was crushed it.
She was so good.
I mean, only if all of you promise to compliment me the whole time.
That's right. Yeah. Of
then
course.
I'll come.
We would never.
That's Dan's That's Dan's MO.
Dan.
100%. The Rat Tail gang comes out on Sunday or Saturday at 8 on the Hallmark Channel. Can't wait for it, Brittany. This has been so much fun, and may we be the first to wish you a
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.